Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me? Thanks. Okay, cool. All right. Yeah, thank you. Now, today, might get squeezed here on Ranny. It's really trying to get me. But gotta just stick to the stop, let it do its thing. Doesn't look good, though. We did have some biotechs running yesterday. Big one, PRAX. Maybe kicking off a little sector momentum. So we'll see what happens. At least we have yesterday was good, so we can afford to take a max loss if we have to. Yeah, I like this ARTV one as well. Kind of nice. So there's cost in not sticking to the stop as well, because you chop yourself out and take a loss for no reason. So definitely a balance of sticking to the stop. There's a reason we have the stops, not just feelings. And it looks like stocks like Seed popped up for a day, came back down. Looks like it's already over. And now we have Prax, which ran yesterday, and it's a really crazy one. Really, really wild one. High priced, low float stock, sort of mid cap. Probably making the biotechs pop more than usual. That's why I think we're getting Ranny, which maybe I should cut. Hard to say. Really hard to say. Stick to the stop or cut it. Obviously, there's some news. It looks like it wants higher for sure. $60 million private placement. Financing. It's quite a move there. This is a known fader stock, so it's just tough. If you get in too early, then you might get squeezed. Usually when I cut things, I tend to top ticket, so if I don't stick to my stop, that's usually what happens. Looks like it might get me. Yeah, there's only a couple here. We have Ranny and ARTV, the main ones. When in doubt, cut 50%. True. There's some dilution on this thing too if it kicks in. Who knows if it will. I imagine that's why they're pumping it. So 65-cent warrants from October. Oh, that's 2024 though. Yeah, that's maybe not going to be relevant actually. Wait a minute. Yeah, there are 2025 warrants. Wow, they got a bunch of them. $0.48 exercise price. 137 million of them. Yeah, I've got a decent stop on, but it's like I really need to be squeezed to stop out. Might do it. But they always look sketchy. Almost every time. Almost every time. So 137 million warrants at 48 cents. It's pretty significant from October. So they haven't used them yet. And I'm pretty sure they can start selling those in pre-market. So I really wouldn't be surprised if this thing just drops out of the gate, because they will offload into those high volume areas usually. They have 137 million to sell, so that's quite a few. 98 million shares traded on the day so far. Not enough to cover their warrants, that's for sure. Obviously, they're going to let it run as much as it will first. But if you're sitting on 137 warrants to sell, at 48 cents, you're up quite a bit. You're up pretty good on those. Might be time to lock them in. I'm just talking myself into not cutting this, that's all. But it's true. Well, you never know. Load the boat. Yeah, you never really know. They don't have to use them. And I'm not the only one seeing this. And short squeezes can be super wild, so it's always risky. But I do like to see massive dilution on the table. Yeah, if I cut at the double top there, I would have been mad if that's the top. So It's just gotta prove it. It's gotta prove that I'm wrong, you know? That's it. I could still be wrong. But it is pretty nasty dilution. That's maybe one of the bigger warrant offerings I've seen. It says it's not registered. So I don't know. It does need to be registered to take effect. Let me check when that might happen because sometimes this data is just delayed. And usually, you know, they pump it so they can dump it. It's not just up for no reason. It's up for a really good reason because somebody wants to dump it. Oh, there actually is an effect. Yeah. Let me take a peek at this. Always check the filings. So yeah, basically we've got for Ranny, we have the effect right here from the 14th. That's last month though. Wait a minute, that's 2 months ago. So we actually don't have the effect yet. So the effect could drop at any moment. Also, I don't know. It's potential dilution. So it's not there for sure yet. But it could be at any moment. Yeah, gotta be careful. This might pump some more. Yeah, it might do it. Yeah, I'll just eat it. Executive decision. See, double top turned into a breakout. So we'll see. 180 was my original stop. Hopefully it keeps going now, or I'm wrong to cut. I just took a loss for no reason, but we'll see. There's a big chance it squeezes. This is the main runner this morning. Potentially we'll try again, but we'll see. Just not obvious that it's on the backside now. Yeah, so if it hits 180, then I'm right to cut. I do have a way of top ticking a stop out too. Pretty good at that. So it's possible this is the top. Hard to say. All right, I put it back on. I'm just gonna leave it. Very hard to say. Very hard to say. I'll just have to eat a max loss if it keeps going. Kind of thought it would have squeezed if it was going to. But yeah, I don't do top ticks, except on stop outs. I stop out and top tick. That's the only top ticks I do. All right. Yeah, it's just the way this is running just seems so sketchy because it's running up into the open, which is usually where things dump or squeeze big time. I should sell alerts for whenever I top tick my stop outs. Only call those out. Sector, it's biotech, and we had We had a big one yesterday. Prax. So this one ran yesterday quite a bit. High priced, low float, sort of a mid cap stock. Kicking off the maybe some biotech momentum. So this is either going to pop out of the gate or it's going to dump. If it's a dip and rip, I will probably cut again. Best case is just a waterfall straight out of the gate. Also, if it does work here, I would have once again top ticked the stop out. Therapeutics, true. Yeah, it's just kind of easy to borrow stock. It is the most extended one right now, so probably crowded. Yeah, when in doubt, cut or don't look and stick to your stop. Can't fake me out if I'm not looking. Pro strat. Also, yeah, if they drop that effect, then this is going straight down. But pretty low odds that that happens today. It is looking like a double top fake out so far. Just pushed over the high slightly, right at $1.50, kind of a key level. That's the thing. If you can find the fake outs, then that's where you want to be trading. But it takes patience. Trade the fake out or get faked out. Nice weakness into the open so far. 1 minute to the bell. We may survive Ranny. If this is all it's got, it's GG. Still possible dip and rip action. I think the past few Fridays there's been some nasty squeezes. That was an attempt at a squeeze. Probably smart to make that wick the risk because it just tried to squeeze and it couldn't do it. So if it gets over that level again, yeah, it is being annoying. All right, might be done with that. It's just, man, it's faking out so much. It's crazy. Absolutely wild. That might be all it's got. Never know. These squeezes can just be so stupid, so a lot of random crap happening. It's trying to squeeze, not squeezing. Always going to fake out some major levels. Almost always. Pretty weak range. Yeah, it's just... see, on the 5 minute, it's a pretty clear double top fake out. And it's trying to squeeze. It just tried really hard. And maybe it could do it, but it didn't even get over $1.50. But could still happen. Just literally never know. You never know. There's some elements of randomness to it that just simply kind of just makes you feel crazy when you're right but you're wrong because you stop out. Yeah, so there's just so many fake outs on these. It's almost worth it just to put your stop in and don't even watch it. There's something to that because if you try to react to fake outs, then you get faked out. So, and how much are you losing in the fake outs over time is a factor. Are you better off just sticking to a stop? Yeah, Al doesn't get faked out. It is impossible. All right, so the obvious target on this is 90 cents. Sub dollar. Anywhere in there would be clean. Oh, Oracle did kind of a fake out move. I thought this was going to hold up a little better than that, but it did a nice trend break, pushed up to 320, 322. Now it's back below 300. Nike sort of a breakout pullback. Got a couple nice looking trend breaks here. This one in particular looks like pretty clean breakout pullback for maybe a swing. Pfizer potentially ready for a swing trade. Pretty nice looking breakout pullback on Pfizer. And then we had the Trump news. They were at the White House. And then it pumped right here on that for a couple days. And now it's come all the way pretty much back down to where it was before that happened. And I wouldn't be surprised if this finds a base somewhere in here and then grinds its way up back into the 40s eventually. Maybe 30s towards the end of the year sometime. Very similar to how Unity played out. Unity was nice. Let's see, Unity was kind of like something like this. Maybe like this. Maybe even like this. So once it pumps up, pulls back, actually created quite a deep low right there. And when you see that, that is usually the sign that the bottom is potentially in. Potentially. Never know for sure. But throw a trend break on top of that. And then hold on. Coinbase giving a nice deep dip here. If crypto's not done, this might just be the perfect place to get into coin. Maybe wait for a trend break. Maybe average in. Risking somewhere around 270. 270-ish should probably be the risk for the swing trade. Let's see what Bitcoin's doing. Bitcoin is dropping a little bit. Sort of following this playbook here. Nice little double top into pullback, lower low action. Tough to say if that's done going down. Maybe it wants to wick out 100K. Yeah, BMNR failed ever since that Trump news on Friday back here causes massive red day. 100% tariff on China news. Not the best. Kind of breaking the bottom of this trend line now on BMNR. That's too bad. This is set up really nice. It still could go, but needs to reclaim this trend line right here. Then maybe it has a chance. Lulu. Similar. Wow. Amazing looking trend line here on Lulu. Would love to see this reclaim. Start pushing up towards the end of October, November. Into the end of the year. End of year rally would be nice. But wait for the trend break. That's a nice looking trend. Got a bigger one right here. Intel, if Intel can drop down here, I'll buy it. If it flags nicely, maybe I'll buy it. KV lower. This is Tylenol. $10. All right, I kind of think that Trump is going to be making a deal with China. This is just pure speculation because this is how things tend to work. Not always, but a lot of times. So we saw it with Intel. Trump was bashing Intel. He said the CEO is tied to China. You know, they got to get rid of him. And then the next week, we find out that the government had bought Intel at the dead bottom. And then Intel's been pumping ever since. So when there's bad news or when Trump's bashing something, he's probably going to flip on it. That's the theory. So we've seen it before. It's probably going to happen again. And right now, Trump threatened 100% tariff on China. So the question is there a deal coming with China? And all these China-related stocks like Lulu, Nike, a lot of manufacturing in China. Are these stocks next up to run? And if there's a deal with China, that's what's going to happen. Most likely, in my opinion. So, it would make sense if you want to drive these stocks to the deepest lows you can possibly get, then you got to bash something. Obviously, China it's a big deal for these companies, so it would make sense that if there's a deal with China and there's no risk of more tariffs, that these companies will bottom out. They're already down a lot, 70% off the top. Where is the bottom? So it would make sense that these would finally bottom out after we have some more concrete news with China. and we're not threatening to do another 100% tariff on them. As soon as that happens, I believe these companies are going to start their uptrend. Now, they are in talks soon. I believe, yeah, November 1st, there is a meeting with Z to talk about a trade deal. So possibly by the 1st, we're going to know. That's right, 101, Trumponomics. This is how it works. And not only is it Trumponomics, but it's how pump and dumps work too. So you got to pump before you dump, or you dump before you pump. You know, you got to go one way or the other. So it just would not be surprising at all. Plus, you know, Lulu's following this blueprint pretty closely. Kind of shockingly closely. So I'm not the only one that sees it. But always, the trend lines are key. I like the trend lines a lot. It keeps me from getting in too soon because these things can go down a lot farther than you think, and it doesn't have to track with this perfectly. And it can diverge, and it can just be totally wrong too. So the trend lines, though, are a pretty good guide. And that's a pretty clean looking one right there. So when this comes back over, and it's interesting that the timing of this tracks with November 1st. Starts breaking out of these trend lines, both of them, right around November 1st. It's kind of interesting. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if once this trend breaks, we're going to maybe see a 50% move up. Would be my guess, my hope. That would be my hope. Fingers crossed. But it just seems like one of the most obvious plays out there for the swings. Got to buy stocks when they're down, but obviously if this company's really in trouble, then you don't really want to get involved. But if there's a deal with China, all things are good. Nothing's really changed with the company that much since a year ago, whenever this was trading at $400 a share. It's at 163 right now. Similar situation with Nike. A little bit different pattern. Although it's tracking very similarly too. See, this one diverged here. But usually when that happens, it meets up. So probably by the end of the year, this is going to be around $75. But the trade deal news can change things a lot. I was kind of hoping this wouldn't come back below 68. But man, this got slammed after earnings. It was a great earnings, and then it came down really hard. Now, another stock that did this is Apple. This is basically the same pattern that Apple, how Apple played out. Let me show Apple real quick, because they had the same exact thing. It was basically 1-to-1. So far, Apple broke out, but Apple had a really nice flag over here. It had a nice wedge breakout into a flag, a smaller flag. And then this flag broke out, and then they had earnings. So earnings was over here. It kind of gapped up on earnings overnight. So that's what happened here. So it gapped up on earnings and then sold off all day. And it just decimated anybody who's risking this flag low over here. So it was a massive fake out on earnings. And then it holds up for 2 days and rips, and it hasn't looked back since. Okay, so there's your fake out. Could get it on the reclaim of the moving average. Could guess into the dip. You know, it's kind of tough, but you know, nothing wrong with getting in right there on the reclaim of that 20 moving average. Or average into the dip, risk this wedge. Risk like 195 for the swing trade. Don't let the fake outs stop you out. But that was a beautiful fake out, and it triggered this massive move immediately after. So this one's catalyst was earnings. Nike's catalyst is the trade deal on the 1st. We're going to know about it. If it's good, okay, we're probably going to get this similar kind of action. But same pattern basically in this area. Big flag. Okay, big breakdown, big fake out right there. It popped on earnings, gave it all back and more. Took out the low. Okay, same exact thing Apple did to this point. And this looks like the fake out to me. This looks like the fake out. So possibly this is the bottom. We know the politicians bought in the 50s. So it's probably not going lower than that unless there's real trouble. And that's a pretty nice looking fake out. So Nike has to get above daily 200 or 60 inbound. Let me take a look at the daily over here. All right, daily 200. Yeah, true. And another interesting thing with this, got all these moving averages. So it's been under all of the moving averages for a long time, for years, until recently this year. So it's just broken out over all the moving averages pretty convincingly. And now it's pulling back. So it's kind of like a breakout pullback into those moving averages. Now it is under them again, which is not the best, but it could come under and then go back over. So it's just an area. It's just an area. Plus, it's pretty dependent on that news. So Etsy was kind of similar. This is kind of a great proxy. Same kind of thing. You got all these moving averages. It's under, until recently this year. It breaks out, pulls back to those moving averages, and now it's kind of shooting up off of that area. And right here, it pulled under that 200 again perfectly. So it's kind of pulling back to 200 bounce, pull back to 200 bounce, and it can come under a little bit too. But you know what? There was a nice clean trend line right here, which we traded. So we got it in on that trend break around 55 and then sold into this move. So Nike, kind of similar. Kind of similar. What would suck for Nike, though, is if it pulls back to this bigger trend line. Because we got this bigger one. And it could retest that one and then do a really good gap fill, a true gap fill. It almost did the gap fill. It was like a dollar off of filling the gap, I think, from the after hours. But yeah, that would be kind of annoying if it did that. I'm hoping this is the bottom though, and usually the fake outs are key. But yeah, there's no reason to get in yet. You could just wait for that 200 reclaim, get it over there. Nothing wrong with that. So it's all about, I mean, a lot of times those fake outs are just such good areas to be looking. So keeping a close eye on that. Let's see, another one I'm looking at is PayPal. PayPal had a pretty crazy move up and then got slammed right back down. So I was almost regretting selling, but I sold everything around 75. And we had it around 69 average. But man, see if I stick around, I get slammed. And my goal with a lot of these swings is I want to stick around for a while, but that keeps happening. So I do tend to want to sell into moves. Now PayPal is trying to fake out a level 2. Got this massive sideways action right here, which it broke out of, filled the gap. That was another reason I sold, gap fill. The prophecy was fulfilled, and it came right back down. And then some. So best case maybe for this is if it fakes out this low and then trend break, something like that. It seems like it's in a pretty good place to be accumulating. All right, I think we're going to call it there. Got a couple of trades on. We're going to let these play out, put some updates in the Discord later. But good luck, everyone. Have a good weekend. And we'll be back on Monday.